Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the special transmission that we are holding on PTV World, in which we are discussing the effects of the false flag operation in Pahalgam that happened a few days back, and how India continues to beat its drums as far as its supposed war mongering is concerned through the Indian media and through its statements, and how the Pakistani media and the Pakistani public, the Pakistani politicians are all unified on one page to answer and to reply to that with full atrocities. We continue to be joined by Farzana Yaqoob Sahiba, who is with us in the studio. Farzana Sahiba, thank you very much to have stayed with us. You've been hearing during the last hour as well, and the fact is that the reality is slowly and steadily coming out. How much they want to put it in the closet, the fact that it cannot stay closeted forever, whether it be former Indian corps commanders who talks openly about India not being battle ready to face Pakistan, whether it be Indian BSF that supposedly gives 2 days to the farmers to complete their farming as a supposed indication that something might happen in the next 48 to 72 hours, whether it be the Indian public that is also starting to raise questions on the veracity or the authenticity of what the Indian media is portraying. What is all this going to lead to in your point of view? An open understanding of what the Indian government is up to?
Well, we have to see how India takes this forward, but India wants a lot of warmongering. It wants to pose as this brave country which wants to fight back terrorism. But after quite a long time, I must say that Pakistan has put up a very strong response to Indian warmongering, which is that if you attack us, we will not only respond equally, but inshallah we will end this war in your home ground. India really needed to hear this. India has been getting away with it. India has been feeling that it can get away with anything that it wants to do. And in all honesty, post 2019, really mild and diluted response from Pakistan made India to believe that it can get away with anything that it wants to do. We forget that until and unless India is not responded to equally with the same level of threats, India does not move back. What we've also seen is that India has tried to show that it is moving its forces a little here and a little there. They've also tried to show that they've moved their navy, but we're also receiving information that no, the navy has not really moved. Most of what they are saying is not actually happening. The action is not right next to their words. But on the other side, Pakistan is not only saying it, it is very active. It has said and it is actually doing this. One of the most key decisions was to close Pakistani airspace for the Indian aircrafts. Now this is painful for who? The masses. This is not painful for the government. This is painful for the masses, for all the extra time that is now required because they are unable to pass through Pakistan. So India has always had sane voices. The civil society within India has always tried to bring the focus back at the core of the issue, which is more India itself rather than any other country. And we see more of those civil and sane voices, those organizations actually getting more airspace, more airtime, which I find very interesting, that because Modi is getting weaker, because Congress as an opposition is getting stronger. When Modi returned from Saudi, after hearing about the Pahalgam attacks, he did not go to Kashmir. He went into a election rally. But when Rahul Gandhi returned, he instantly went to Kashmir. So the way Congress has been taking up these opportunities to increase its popularity, to increase its grip over its voting masses, because at the end of the day, this is not about Kashmir. Please, people, remember, this is not about Kashmiris. India is not interested in settling. Post Pahalgam, it has arrested people blanketly without any reason. It has attacked Kashmiris. A lot of homes have been decimated. All those people who were helping out these tourists, the people who remained alive, Kashmiris literally opened up their homes. They provided all that was required. India is attacking them. India is arresting young people as young as 13-year-old. So India is doing its usual abuse. Authority, state sponsored abuse has increased in Indian occupied Kashmir post this fake event. But at the same time, what we also see is that at the end of the day, this false flag was not created for Kashmiris. It was created to test it, to see how the masses in India, they react to it. And most probably, if there is any sense within the Modi government, they must have realized that no, the masses have come to their senses. You actually see a lot more on social media when it comes to people coming up with the truth, with people sharing their version of the events, of people sharing their own videos. We see that people who were over there, who were attacked, them coming up and saying that although they were close to an Indian armed post, no one came up to protect them. It was actually Kashmiris who tried to fend against these armed rebels. And at the same time, what we've seen is that this year, Valley is considered as, you know, the bastion of the freedom movement. But what you will notice is that last year and this year, you are seeing more events happening in Jammu.
True.
Which is not considered as a bastion of freedom fighters. Jammu has more of Hindu population, but what we're seeing is that there is an increase. The freedom fighters are trying to fight back without any assistance, without any kind of help from anyone. It is very indigenous, it is very pure, and these brave people have been wanting and have been trying to fight back with literally bare hands and really old arms that they have. Now, with the presence of over 900,000 forces, paramilitary forces, they need additional forces for what? For conducting elections. They need additional forces to be able to control the Kashmiri population. How many people do they require to kill? How many people do they need to, how many forces are required to control Kashmir? This also clearly shows that Indian army is not really well prepared. Indian army is not at all equal to Pakistan army when it comes to professionalism, when it comes to being well prepared for war, when it comes to being trained properly. Post Pahalgam, India, while it was browbeating and warmongering, one of its planes, which apparently was destined for Pakistan, actually shot its own civilian area. So India, time and again, India has proven that, you know, they are not professionally any equals to Pakistan.
That's a very interesting perspective. Air Marshal Amir Masood Saab continues to join us online as well. Thank you very much, sir, to have given us the time. We've talked about the battle hardness of our Pakistani armed forces in case of any eventuality. We've also talked of how Pakistan has strategically aligned itself and how Pakistan has strategically defended all the false accusations that have been pouring from the Indian side. As somebody who's been very prominent as far as Pakistan's strategies or Pakistan's safety or Pakistan's defense is concerned, I'd like your point of view as far as the Indian and Pakistani points of views on all that pertains to the armed forces post the Pahalgam incident is concerned.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Umar, that armed forces, if you see it, as far as the equipment is concerned, as far as their numbers are concerned, that may show a lot of balance which is there. Definitely, numerically, Indian armed forces are bigger than us, but not that much that we don't have sufficient power to not only thwart their any aggressive designs, but also to give a very aggressive response against them. But one thing which I would like to allude is that many things in this
We
sort of
have to cut you
conflict.
short. We have to go to breaking news and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and before we move any further, we would like you to watch this short documentary on all the events that have been happening in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir between the period of January 2003 and October 2021.
ظلم کی رات ختم ہونے والی ہوتی ہے، شہداء کا خون رائگاں نہیں جاتا۔
ان کے سینوں میں اگر دل ہوتا نا تو یہ کچھ نہ کرتے۔
انڈیا جانتے بوجھتے ہوئے انٹرنیشنل لا کی وائلیشنز کمٹ کر رہا ہے۔
اس کے ساتھ زیادتی ہوئی، یہ تو ہمیں تڑپا دیتی ہے اس کی یہ شہادت۔
India has committed all the known crimes which can take India to a criminal tribunal.
وہ تو شہید ہو گیا تو میت تو ملنی چاہیے نا۔
A resident of this house, Zia Mustafa, a 15 years old innocent boy, left his house on January 2003 and never came back.
یہ جو انڈیا والے ہیں، میں کہتی ہوں ان کو تو ان کے سینوں میں دل ہے ہی نہیں نا۔ ان کے سینوں میں اگر دل ہوتا نا تو یہ کچھ نہ کرتے۔ اتنا عرصہ انہوں نے قید میں رکھ کے تو آخر میں جب ان کا فیصلہ ہونا تھا تو انہوں نے ان کو انکاؤنٹر کر دیا اور انہوں نے ہمیں ان کی نہ ڈیڈ باڈی دی۔ وہ اتنے ظالم ہیں انڈیا والے، اتنے جابر ہیں کہ انہوں نے بس وہ شاید یہ چاہتے ہی نہیں تھے کہ یہ واپس اپنوں میں جائیں۔
ماں نے بہت مشکل دن گزارے ہیں، ان کی آنکھ نظر بھی چلی گئی تھی رو رو کے۔ تو
معصوم بچہ تھا، جب وہ غلطی سے لائن آف کنٹرول پار کر گیا تھا اور پھر بھارت نے پہلے تو اس کو چھپائے رکھا، اس کو تشدد کا نشانہ بنائے رکھا۔ پاکستان نے جب اس پر پوزیشن لی تو بالآخر کاؤنسلر کو اس تک رسائی دے دی گئی، لیکن 2005 کے بعد سے بھارت نے کاؤنسلر کو بھی اس سے ملنے نہیں دیا۔ حالانکہ جب پاکستان نے کہہ دیا کہ یہ ہمارا شہری ہے، یہ کم عمر ہے، اس پر تو فوجداری مقدمہ چلایا ہی نہیں جا سکتا، لیکن آپ نے اس پر قتل کا اور دیگر جعلی جھوٹے مقدمات گھڑے۔ پھر 2003 سے لے کر 2021 تک 18 سال اس کو جرم ثابت کیے بغیر جیل میں رکھا۔
ہماری والدہ محترمہ اس کے انتظار میں وہ وفات پا گئی، اور اسی طرح سے ہمارے بڑے بھائی، 2 بڑے بھائی فوت ہوئے اس کے انتظار میں۔
کوئی مٹیریل اگینسٹ ضیاء مصطفیٰ کے اس کا تعلق کسی ٹیررسٹ ایکٹ سے ہے، یہ کسی ایسی بات سے ہے کہ کاگنیزیبل اوفینس کے طور پر شامل ہے، کوئی ایسا رانگ بھی کوئی نہیں ہے۔ ایک ایفرٹ انہوں نے کیا جو کہ کمپلیٹلی آپ کو نظر آتا ہے کہ اس میں کوئی لیگل سبسٹنس نہیں ہے۔ اس کے خلاف معاملہ پھر ہائی کورٹ جاتا ہے، پھر انڈین سپریم کورٹ تک جاتا ہے، اور 2 دفعہ جاتا ہے، اور اس میں بھی کچھ چیز سامنے نہیں آتی، اور سڈنلی ایک انکاؤنٹر ہوتا ہے اور اس میں اس کی موت، اس کو شہید کر دیا جاتا ہے۔ یہ واضح آپ کو نظر آتا ہے کہ آپ جانتے بوجھتے ہوئے انٹرنیشنل لا کا ڈیفالٹ کمٹ کر رہے ہیں، نوئنگ کہ آپ کے پاس اس کے بچے کے خلاف کوئی مٹیریل، کوئی ایویڈنس نہیں۔
This extrajudicial killing of Zia Mustafa is a blatant violation of human rights, and it is a disregard to the Geneva Convention, the rights of prisoners in custody. The incident also raises questions about safety and security of Pakistani prisoners in Indian jails.
This unfortunate child suffered, but can you imagine how many others have suffered? How many others are being killed every day? The belligerency is with impunity, and there's no shame. 800,000 people are controlling a valley, controlling the innocent people. But every day They are rising against Indian hegemony and Indian tyranny.
Indian intelligence agencies and occupation forces frequently conduct state-sponsored false flag operations to malign Kashmir freedom movement and scapegoat Pakistan. These false flag operations often manifest into fake encounters through extrajudicial killings of Kashmiris, who are portrayed as foreign terrorists through information offensive employing pliant Indian media as
हम चाहते हैं कि अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा, अक़वाम आलम और जितनी भी इंसानी हकूक़ के जो आलमबरदार हैं वो इस मामले को उठाएं और भारत का जो चेहरा है उससे पर्दा हटाएं.
You've just seen this short documentary that illustrates the number of killings and that have been happening in the Indian Hill Valley in the last few years, and of course lays bare the Indian machinations as far as the territory is concerned and the entire region is concerned. I think nothing more can be more tangible to say that in this whole environment, if there is one terrorist entity, then the fingers should point towards the current Indian regime. We continue to be joined by Farzana Yaqoob, Foreign Minister, former Minister in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Farzana Yaqoob Sahiba, when you look at a documentary such as this, this is just one of the so many examples of boys, girls, men, women who've been tortured, who've been falsely implicated in false flag operations and then involved in extrajudicial killings. Will this ever stop?
Well, we hope and we pray that this would stop, but the only way that this can stop is when India stops the abuse, when India stops using the power that it has, when the world stops India from using its unilateral power on Kashmiris living in Indian occupied Kashmir, when the United Nations is strong enough to stop India, when America is strong enough to stop India, only then might we be able to see that day that we all hope and aspire for, that, you know, Kashmiris will have the right to self-determination, Kashmiris will be out of the clutches of this hegemonic, this horrible terrorist state government, which is killing, maiming, raping Kashmiris, and this is not new. The sad part is that you see this increasing. Even post Pahalgam, what you see is that Indian politicians and Indian people, mostly Hindus, are you know, warmongering. They're also making threats to the Kashmiris and Muslims residing or studying in other parts of India to leave within 24 to 48 hours. Otherwise, yes, and otherwise they will kill them. This too is not happening for the first time. You might remember of the incidents whenever Pakistan and India have matches, cricket matches, and once in a blue moon when Pakistan does win, Kashmiris, you know, celebrate that win, and then Kashmiris face a lot of issues. They are literally kicked out of the university. So these are all the old events that have happened, and you see continuously what you will see is that Kashmiris do not give up their right of self-determination. Kashmiris have always made this point to show their love for Pakistan as well, which is always commendable.
So even now under these circumstances they continue to do so. We've also been joined by Brigadier Ahmad Saeed Minhas, he's a senior analyst. Sir, thank you very much to have joined us. You must have heard, sir, the very recent press brief that was given by our Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi Saab, in which he talked about the 54 Khwarish who've been sent to hell as a result of a very effective operation by our armed forces. And of course, all fingers, as has already happened post the Jafar Express incident and also this incident, point towards India. On the one hand, it involves itself in what the world is calling water terrorism, and now it also continues to involve itself in what is terrorism in Pakistani territories, whether it be in Balochistan or whether it be in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Don't events such as these lay bare the Indian designs as far as Pakistan is concerned? And if so, how important is the responsibility of the external powers, of regional powers, of global powers to understand and to pressurize India?
Right, extremely right. The situation on the eastern border is all evolving. In that perspective, these 54 Khwarjis who tried to enter from in the northern Khuzestan from the different terrain, including the Nullahs, 54 different Khwarjis when they tried to enter. So the Pakistan army was already ready because we are trained about the push and pull phenomena. Push and pull means that whenever something develops along the eastern border of Pakistan and the forces, they readjust themselves in order to develop a response, there's a pull which is exerted by pushing these Khwarjis from the western border side. So we completely know the Indian tactics, its complete operational preparedness and the thinking, because from the day one when we were in Pakistan military academy, we studied the Chankiya Kotalia, and in that sense, the
All right, we have to move towards this breaking news item, and we'll be right back after. Welcome back, and we're discussing the whole war-mongering that has been happening from the Indian side post the Pahalgam false flag operation. We continue to be joined by Farzana Yaqoob Sahaba, who is a former minister in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Ma'am, we've just heard the Interior Minister talk about this latest incident in which 54 Khawarij were sent to hell, and he again talks about the backing by certain regional powers, and of course the fingers point towards India. Isn't this a deliberate attempt by India to continue to destabilize Pakistan in whichever form it can, as has been the case since the last so many years, whether it be on through the media, for which we found out through the Disinfo Lab report a few years back, or through traditional media, or through such tactics, or through backing the Khawarij, whether it be the Jafar Express incident or even this one?
Indeed, India has a proven track record of planning and executing terrorist activities in other countries. You've mentioned all the incidents, and a lot more has happened in Pakistan. Pakistan has been bravely not only fighting off India, but trying to provide a safe and secure environment for all of us Pakistanis. Now, while this has been going on, India has been, a blue-eyed child for the West. Even these countries which have been like literally, American business has moved into India. India is benefiting so much from American business. But did that stop India from not doing its terrorist activities in Canada and America? No, it did not. So India has this clear stance that it will kill whoever it feels that it must. It will do any action that is necessary. Of all the countries, Pakistan has been the bravest, and Pakistan has always caught Indian army personnel who design these and plan these programs of trying to maim and really put down Pakistan. India has a huge issue with Pakistan, and India will never back off. India will never change. If we assume that because this is RSS, BJP, Modi, and if they were to move, and if someone else, Congress for example, was to come, and India would start behaving differently, no, it will not, because India believes at a state level in greater India. India has never been happy with the creation of Pakistan. So India will never let go of its obsession with Pakistan, a country which even in this century requires to malign Pakistan so that people will come out and vote for them. That country has nowhere to go while we live and we thrive. And Pakistan has done well. But we've seen that, because of our economic weakness, India felt that our masses would also give up, that, we would stop from what all that we believe in, that existence of Pakistan, that Kashmir is part of Pakistan. When Quaid-e-Azam said that Kashmir is the jugular vein of Pakistan, that was so true. And that jugular vein, this phrase has always been really close to my heart, because when people don't understand the importance of Kashmir, and when we tell them that it is the waters that come from Kashmir that are the backbone of the agriculture of this country, it is an equivalent of the jugular vein. And this is what India has this time tried to do, that it keeps mentioning Indus Water Treaty, it keeps trying to make this treaty irrelevant, although it cannot. But knowing India does not care about international law, India does not care about any treaties, India does not even care what it has signed up to. So if India could, it will of course try its best to hurt Pakistan. Now, what can it do in all of this scenario? Once again, back to your question, of course, India is not changing its stance. They will keep on building more dams. They have already been building more dams. Ask people from Azad Jammu Kashmir how very effective because of these dams. India allows minimum water to flow from these dams into Pakistan, and so you will see that our water levels have gone down and we're suffering from that. So this has caused a lot of issues.
All right, before we go to end this transmission, and of course for all our viewers, we are continuing this transmission throughout the evening as well. I'd like to understand, our Interior Minister talked about an FIR. An FIR was filed at the Indian police station in Pahalgam false flag operation that has completely exposed the Indian government's lies. Because why? Because this FIR is lodged barely 10 minutes after the operation as apparently is held. And the FIR talks about the operation that lasted between 13:50 and 1:50 p.m. to 2:20 p.m. And which is just surprisingly in just 10 minutes, and at 2:30 the FIR is lodged at that police station that is 6 kilometers away from the spot. Unidentified cross-border terrorists are named as part of a pre-planned plan in this FIR. And also the FIR says there was indiscriminate filing by the alleged terrorists, whereas the Indian government kept on harping it one way or the other. And of course they use the term at the behest of foreign masters, that is also added in the FIR. This false flag drama and then followed by this FIR, doesn't it expose the whole Indian conspiracy?
Of course it does, because if Kashmiris were involved, if a Kashmiri had actually gone and tried to file an FIR, there is no way that the Indian army, the Indian police ever registers our FIR. We have known that for a long time. For such an instantaneous FIR, which is within such a short time frame, it just clearly whatever all of us have been saying, it is indeed a false flag. They've tried to plan it very nicely, and when you look at the photographs, they're really well choreographed. It is sad, but you have to admit, people who are from the media, they can clearly see that these are very well choreographed photographs. Who was busy in all of this time taking photos? How come people were so vigilant? When such an incident happens, everyone is scared for their life, but someone was busy taking photos, and someone was also busy reporting, someone was busy registering an FIR, and everything was going perfectly. But who has suffered? Look at what has happened after that. Kashmiris have suffered. They did not do this, but as India has always done, it tests, it does these experiments, and then who does it go after? Kashmiris. Post Pahalgam, so many houses have been destroyed. Thousands of people once again have been arrested. Sooner or later we will find out that we don't know where they have gone.
But this is something that we will also be seeing in the coming days, and we don't know how this is going to fall out. But the fact remains, Farzana Yaqoob Sahiba, that Pakistan's narrative is clear. Pakistan's narrative is also been made clear by our Interior Minister, who says the world needs to see who is behind all of this, and the need for an independent, transparent inquiry by neutral entities. That is the need of the hour, as has been highlighted by our Prime Minister and our Interior Minister as well. We end this transmission. For the moment we have to go to our news, but after that this transmission will continue with other anchors. Stay tuned right here to PTV World as we give you the most objective and real narrative as to what is happening. Allah Hafiz.